Welcome to Rio. Welcome to Soccerex. This year it's bigger and better than ever.
If you've never been to a game in Brazil, you're in for a treat. All sorts of treats, really. No one parties better. Or kicks a football in quite the same way.
Well, let's start with a world record. Meet Ricardinho. He's just started his attempt on beating his own world record. All he has to do is keep that ball bouncing for 29.5 hours. It's just about 11 o'clock now. 6:30 tomorrow night, he'll still be at it.
Two of the big clubs present at Soccerex were interested in a £40 million lost soul. One, Carlos Tevez.
Carlito Tevez is a player under contract with Man City, and we have to respect that. The transfer market is not going to open until January 3rd, so it's plenty of time. At the moment, we can only say that there's a lot of speculations. We are looking for possibly a player on loan, because we have to substitute Cassano, who's been suffering an injury, and he will be out for a few months. And we will see by the time comes if Tevez will be an option or there will be others.
Carlos Tevez, se sair da Europa, vem pro Corinthians.
Não interessa.
Se o Carlos Tevez sair da Europa, ele vem pro Corinthians.
Qual o preço?
Não sei.
Qual o preço o Corinthians está disposto a pagar?
Não sei.
Não te preocupa os problemas de Tevez em vários clubes?
Não, no Corinthians ele nunca teve problema. No Corinthians eles tiraram ele do Corinthians. Então eu não tenho problema não. E eu sou uma pessoa de carteirinha, porque eu não tenho conversa com ele direito. Mas no Corinthians é tudo diferente, e ele sabe como é que é aqui. E se ele sair da Europa, ele vem pro Corinthians.
Na Inglaterra, quando o Corinthians ofereceu 40 milhões...
Se arrependeram, hein? Se arrependeram os ingleses, hein?
We have to be aware to the opportunity what the market give to us. So let's see, maybe we can talk to him to see if he wants to be in Brazil or not, because it doesn't matter if you have a money to buy him, but he don't want to play here in Brazil, so that's strange. So that's why you have to thinking about it, working hard, and then we see what we do for 2012.
There are many more clubs, not to mention movers and shakers, in attendance at Soccerex, renowned as the conference for the business of football. Famous faces abound at the event centre, specially built on a peninsula which divides two of the most alluring beaches on earth, Copacabana and Ipanema. Soccerex was born at Wembley 15 years ago. Since then, it's spread through Europe to the Far and Middle East, to South Africa ahead of the last World Cup, and now to South America, to Brasilia and Rio, where the global conference will be held for the next 2 years. A further European conference is held in Manchester, so how do they follow Rio?
With great difficulty, it's fair to say, but this isn't just a remarkable platform for football and all the interests of football to get together. It's also a great platform as well for cities and companies to engage. I've been very, very encouraged by the number of Brazilian companies that are talking to us about investment opportunities which originate on the back of football. So for us, how we move forward, we've got the European Forum in Manchester in March next year, and working with the Soccerex people, continuing to plan for what follows Brazil in 2 or 3 years' time.
Meanwhile, in the conference hall, former Arsenal and FA Vice-Chairman David Dein is giving his thoughts on third-party ownership, with the help of an unlikely-looking 17-year-old Brazilian star of the future, some fake money and a pair of handcuffs.
So there you see, I'm the third-party investor, and I think we're going to be pretty close over the years, and I think this money has been well spent.
It is not healthy for the sport, because for 2 reasons. One, you've got the big question of influence. Does a third-party investor, can he influence the player? Well, if he owns 50% of that player's commercial income and also his image rights, and he's invested in the club that he's playing for, he's vested his interest is in moving the player out. And if he does, then he gets the money which goes out of the game. So that way it's unhealthy. So you've got two aspects of it. One is the influence on the player, and the second thing is that the money does not stay in the game.
The use of technology is another hot issue, especially for Howard Webb, who's refereed the World Cup final and the Champions League final.
I've got some personal views about technology and the way that the game should go with that. I think the biggest thing for me is that we don't change the basic way the game is played. People love the game, that's clear being here today, you know, from all around the world. And they love it for what it is, for the way it's played, for the tempo and the pace that it has. And I think we need to be careful to always protect that. But there are times when, you know, it would be nice, I guess, to make my job a little bit easier and to make me more credible. And anything that does that has to be worth a look, I guess. So I think we're going to look at probably some goal line technology at some point in the foreseeable future. Again, it's a big decision, it's one that we want to get right. And if we can get a system that is totally accurate and reliable and immediate, then maybe that's something that would add value to the game as a whole.
There are a few venues which can claim to be the home of football, but this one has more fans than most. 200,000 of them, it's believed, when it first opened. It is, of course, the Maracanã, a cathedral for all Brazilian football fans, which means all Brazilians. It'll be the fulcrum of the 2014 World Cup. The question is, will it be ready in time?
First to speak in the ready or not debate, the governor of Rio.
Olha, eu acho que para 2014 nós estamos prontos. Quer dizer, fazendo... Maracanã vai ficar pronto em 2013, no início de 2013. Várias obras de mobilidade urbana, novos hotéis. Estará pronto, com certeza. Não há nenhum tipo de dificuldade para 2014 pelo Rio de Janeiro. Realmente nenhum tipo de dificuldade. Nós estaremos prontos para fazer para ser uma das sedes e a final da Copa e o centro de mídia.
What about the man who's charged with delivering the World Cup?
Eu acho que não, acho que faz parte de um processo a gente sabe disso, quer dizer, você deve acompanhar há tanto tempo a realização de grandes eventos, sempre há dúvida, mas definiu tarde, os estádios não vão ficar prontos, vai tudo ficar pronto, com qualidade, muito bom, muito bacana, quem vier aqui vai adorar.
Next, the man who's delivered a World Cup.
I think it's just too early to make a judgment call, and I think one actually needs to go and visit and talk to the different cities to find out what is happening.
These are the latest pictures of the Maracanã taken from the centre spot. The 2014 World Cup will start and end here. It looks like there's plenty of work still to do, but Edinho, who's played in 3 World Cups, says this is merely the Brazilian way.
Essa percepção, essa cabeça que nós temos. Mas claro que isso aí é um grande defeito. A gente não consegue entender, eu que morei na Europa também, entender que as coisas têm que ficar prontas em cima da hora.
It's a view shared by the man dubbed the father of modern football, João Havelange.
Andamento das coisas? Absolutamente. Vai sair tudo perfeito e muito bom. E o que eu mais adorei foi a decisão da FIFA de dar entre as sedes, as 12 sedes, uma a Manaus e outra a Cuiabá. Manaus, quem for lá vai ver uma coisa impressionante que é a floresta amazônica.
Turn any corner at Soccerex and you'll find a famous face. They may be here as delegates or to hear the latest opinion, or maybe just to meet old friends. Some, like the Dutch team, are here to play hard and sing pretty badly.
YouTube. Music and fashion were always the fashion at the Copa. We fell in love.
It's just as well they can play football.
Well, here I am in the middle of the Brazilian School of Freestylers, although I don't think school features much with these lads. You can't go to school if you have to practice this much to be this good. If you don't go to school, then what are you going to be? How about a great footballer? And they are up next.
Welcome back to Soccerex. One successful meeting here can be worth 6 months travelling the world, and beyond the business, there are always the famous faces. Ricardinho balances the ball on his neck as he sips coffee 21 hours into his world record keepy-uppy attempt. Just less than 8 hours to go.
Soccerex Football Festival.
Outside on the Copacabana is the razzmatazz of the football festival. The legends, including Brian Robson and Ozzy Ardiles, are limbering up. We'll see the action a little later, but first Brian and Ozzy's thoughts on what a World Cup in Brazil might be like.
It's going to be fantastic. Brazil is a country that lives for football, Rio especially, but I mean, this is why they produce so many players. They have a population of 190 million people, and everybody's absolutely crazy about football. This is why they have so many top stars, so many world-class players. And in the World Cup, of course, they're going to be the #1 favorites. They're going to be incredibly difficult to beat. And, of course, Brazil is always Brazil.
For the World Cup to come here is terrific because you've got so many class players, like Ozzy says. Plus, as well, the fans are so passionate about the football, and they get into everybody's got to enjoy it, and that razzmatazz, which goes with football over here. You know, so all I can say is it's been a real success.
Your Manchester United fellow great player, Gary Neville, says that the England team is going to be no good for another 10 years.
I think he's probably right, Matt. Yeah, you know, I think we've still got some very good players, but I'm not sure whether we've got enough world-class players to come to a place like Brazil and win the World Cup. I'm just not sure that, you know, we're good enough to do that. You know, I think like Argentina, when you've got a player like Messi, that gives you an opportunity of maybe being able to pull it off and win the World Cup. But you need a player like that. And I think we rely far too much on Wayne Rooney, you know, as an international team. So I can't see us. I can see us qualifying because we're pretty good at that, but I can't see us going on to win the competition.
You know this part of the world better than most. There are worries that they won't be ready in 2014.
They will be ready. That's the way we do things in South America, in Brazil, in Argentina. Mañana, take your time, just relax. Things will happen, things will be done on time at the end of the day. And when you need to play a game, the stadium are going to be ready, the people are going to be ready, so I have no worry whatsoever, not at all.
Beyond the terrace, the football festival on the beach features all sides of the game that Pelé was first to dub beautiful. From kids playing homemade drums to double World Cup winner Cafu playing five-a-side with special needs players. Youth teams demonstrating the prodigious talent which it seems Brazil has always had on tap. To perhaps the most impressive of the lot, blind footballers showing talent of a special kind. And you can't keep a good football down. Well, this lot can't. And so to the main event, and the Soccerex Legends opens with a game between Holland and the European All-Stars. A side containing Pierre van Hooijdonk and Arthur Newman got the better of Desailly, Mendieta and co, with a little help from Christian Carambeau to reach the final. Despite the result and the weather, everyone enjoyed themselves.
In the South America, we have Marcelo Salas, we have Faustino Asprilla. We are very pleased to see the guys, and really again is to promote football and to give access, I mean, to the crowd, to the legend, the old legend.
The other semi-final saw home favourites Brazil take on a Latin all-star side, including Valderrama, Asprilla and Marcelo Salas. Giuliano Belletti showed he's lost little of the talent he displayed for Chelsea and Barcelona, but for a while at least it seemed as if a shock may be on the cards. The second half was a different story. Juninho, still adored in Middlesbrough, led the charge for the hosts so that Brazil could claim their place in the final. While Howard Webb was happy, he'd packed his cards. And Belletti again showed he's deadly from 2 yards.
de Jalminha numa presepada fantástica, entregando a bola.
It's an absolute delight to be amongst these real legends, you know, somebody who grew up around football and watching football. Some of the older guys were some of my heroes when I was a kid, so to be on the same pitch. And like you say, all right, they've slowed down a little bit, but they've still got it up there, and I'm sure it's a great spectacle to watch.
So to the final, and it was pretty much one-way traffic as just about everyone lost count of the score. Jalminha scored a couple in spectacular style. Aldair was a central defender in his day, but showed he can finish just as well. No doubt about the star of the show, though, Falcao. Quick feet and a finish to match. There was an overhead kick for good measure. He was also determined to lob a 6'6" goalie playing in a 7-foot goal. He did it, though, not once or twice, but 3 times. Much to the delight of the crowd, who loved every minute.
Ruud, do you think we got any hint today of what it would be like when they stage a World Cup here?
It was fantastic. I think the home crowd will push them to higher, you know, higher and higher and higher. And today, you know, when that futsal guy played, Falcao, he's of a different planet. And, you know, this is his playground. Of course, on a bigger pitch, it would be different for him, but it was so lovely to see what he can do with a ball. And I enjoyed just watching it.
Brazil retained their trophy as if there was really any doubt. With 2.5 years still to go, how's the rest of South America looking forward to the next World Cup?
Pero jugué la Copa del Mundo de Estados Unidos, de Francia. Hubiera sido muy bonito jugar una Copa del Mundo de Sudamérica, pero no fue mi época, así que en la época mía jugué donde tenía que jugar y fico igual. Contento, espero venir como espectador a mirar el Mundial, la Copa del Mundo aquí en Brasil.
Sí, no, sería fabuloso. ¿Por qué? Porque toda Sudamérica va a estar acá. Estamos más cerca, estábamos en Brasil, que Brasil es un país futbolero, y sería fabuloso que Colombia estuviera acá.
From legends to reality, and a game between Rio rivals Fluminense and Vasco da Gama. For the uninitiated, it is an experience.
If you can't hear me, it's because Brazilians tend to enjoy themselves when they go to football matches, and they're loud, very loud.
And words really can't do justice to the passion on show. Next season, the passion of Brazilian football will be matched by cold, hard cash. Television money has been ramped up in a way which is set to mirror the rise of the English Premier League. Despite Vasco's win, Corinthians take the title. Next season, they'll take the lion's share of the television money. And their president is confident the new deal will make the Brazilian league the envy of the world.
O cenário diz que o futebol brasileiro de uns anos para cá está se modernizando, descobriu o que é a força da sua torcida, descobriu o marketing esportivo que no Brasil era muito pequenininho, e tudo isso trouxe uma grande receita para o clube. Agora na televisão, a partir do ano que vem também é outra grande receita. Então eu acredito que o futebol brasileiro em 3 a 4 anos será o segundo mais rico do mundo, e o Corinthians em 3 anos o clube mais rico do mundo.
Well, half the problem, because the best products, the best players have been playing abroad. Their trick is to keep their best players. If they can keep Neymar and Ganzo and Lucas and others here in Brazil, and they may well be able to now, because all of a sudden they've had an explosion in their television money, which is really much more than it ever used to be. They've got a tax advantage, but they only pay 27% tax. Our tax is at 50% on the players. So they've got a fair chance now of keeping the best talent. If they do manage to keep the best talent in Brazil, anything can happen.
Neymar may be staying at Santos for now, but a former Arsenal favourite, Edu, believes there are 2 sides to every coin.
For Brazilian league is important, for the fans is important, for Santos is very important, but As a player, of course, he still has the money because they pay a lot of money for him. But as for his experience to go to Europe, a big club, to play in the Champions League, to play for a good league, maybe Neymar couldn't growing up even more than growing up here. So that's my idea. I think he has his idea, and I hope he's right.
But at Soccerex, the next World Cup is what dominates every conversation, from the youngest stars to those who have little to prove to any generation.
O momento do Brasil é um momento de muita expectativa, né? Até porque o Brasil conquistou o mundo pela sua qualidade futebolística, melhor dizendo, né? Dos seus grandes ídolos desde o passado, como a minha geração. E hoje, no momento, o Brasil só tem um craque que é Neymar. Isso me preocupa muito.
Este país é um país que adora o futebol. O futebol para eles é tudo. Os brasileiros vibram, mas que a diferença que existe no Brasil e na Europa. O brasileiro vive mesmo.
É a grande chance nessa segunda de 2014, porque todos os demais países ganharam a Copa quando sede. O Brasil não. Nós temos 5 títulos fora. Agora, 2014, que me desculpem, o Brasil vai ser hexacampeão do mundo.
As Soccerex sets new records for contracts signed and deals done, a new record of a different kind is set by Ricardinho, keeping a ball aloft for 29.5 hours, verified by Guinness and celebrated with a glass of pink champagne.
Soccerex returns to Rio and Ipanema in a year's time. Some ask why they want to come back. The answer is pretty obvious.